What's up, you guys? We should be rolling live here. Let's see. I know I'm looking like an old lady here once again. I saw one of your guys' comments on my last live video. I used to do these a lot more often a couple of years back. And as you guys know, we kind of put them on hold, but there's something I'm picking up in a major way once again. Gonna start doing fighter interviews weekly again, and not just fighter interviews. You guys remember when I used to do MMA live discussion? It was kind of like a more formal interview that I used to put the fighters through. I'm not really looking to do that moving forward. I'm trying to do a little bit more of a hangout. I think that'll be a lot more fun, where we're just having some of these up and coming fighters in the UFC, and hopefully some big names as well, just coming on the channel and kind of kicking it, giving us some of their thoughts on upcoming fights. Maybe talking some betting odds as well with them. I know some fighters might be a little bit more skeptical to do that type of thing these days, unfortunately, due to a fighter that we once had on the show, right, for an MMA live discussion episode in Kraus. And that is a damn shame. You know, I can't stand the fact that a lot of these fighters are very timid when it comes to talking the betting lines and what's going on with some of these fighters, because I've kind of noticed that throughout the years and whatnot. So, in this episode here today, we're definitely going to be talking about prop bets for UFC Louisville, top to bottom. We're going to run through the entire card. There was two things I wanted to talk about before we got into that, before we got into the props, and that is two pretty big stories, right? Of course, Conor McGregor not showing up to the press conference and that whole thing being put on hold. But, I'll tell you guys what, and I'm glad that I kind of just took a step back in regards to this whole thing, because when this thing first broke, I was getting so many messages from you guys asking me what's going on, and a lot of you guys had a pessimistic mindset on it, like, I knew this fight was never going to happen. I kind of wanted to just chill out, sit back, and see what kind of facts came out. Now, I'm not saying that we have a lot more facts now here on Wednesday compared to Monday, but it does seem that some of the bigwigs in MMA media are a lot more optimistic about what's going on. In particularly, Ariel Helwani, of course. Helwani went on his show today, and he says, Helwani says there is, in quotations, great positivity, great optimism regarding UFC 303, the 303 main event there. Is Conor McGregor going to fight Michael Chandler on June 29th? My answer is yes. As of right now, do I know what happens tomorrow? No. And I think that's a fair answer, and that's kind of how I'm feeling about it. I don't have any great insight on the situation, but I mean, I think that McGregor has to make that walk. I mean, he can't just be leading us on like this. I mean, what is he doing this just to keep his name in the mix and use his name in the mix here just to kind of promote what's going on over in the BKFC scene, as he's now a percentage owner over there. As you saw, if you go to his Instagram, he was kind of promoting some of the stuff that BKFC has going on, which BKFC is now working with Ryzen. I believe they're partnered up, and sounds pretty dope to me to picture some bare knuckle fights going down over there in Japan, and we see maybe a push of the bare knuckle scene in Japan. I think that's pretty cool, but obviously I'm just saying that, kind of joking around. I don't think that that's what's going on here. I think McGregor will make the walk, and as of now, I still have him penciled in as the main event at UFC 303, taking on Michael Chandler. I really hope that fight goes down. Obviously, that would be the biggest fight of the year, the biggest fight in a very long time. Maybe you could say the biggest fight since Conor McGregor's last fight, where he snapped his leg there against DP. I mean, whether you love him or hate him, McGregor is as big as it gets in the fight game. So I think all of you guys should be pushing that he makes the walk, even if you don't like him, because then in that case, just root for Chandler to knock him out. But it will be a spectacle. The world will be buzzing, and we'll all be talking fights and whatnot. And why not have the whole world kind of watching what's going on with us? So, and then that's going to take me right into the co-main event of UFC 303. I want to talk about my boy here, Jamahal Hill. You guys remember Jamahal Hill featured one of my prediction videos in his Instagram saying, was it not spilt milk, aged like milk or something like that, old milk or something like that, or it aged like milk, I guess he was calling it milk, something like that. Anyways, if you guys know what I'm talking about, comment it in the comment section. But basically he was saying I had a bad take. Milk takes. There we go. Milk takes. It was a milk take. It aged badly. I did pick Glover Teixeira over Jamahal Hill. Now, if you guys run the tape back on my prediction for that fight, I was actually very undecided, and I kind of just leaned towards Teixeira's way. So, I mean, I think I've always given Jamahal Hill a fair share of respect going into his fights, because I think he's a dangerous dude. I think he can really knock out anybody on the right night. I think he can knock out an Alex Pereira if it was the right night for him. I mean, we've seen Alex Pereira make some sloppy mistakes before and get caught by fighters, excellent fighters like Israel Adesanya, but still he did get caught there. Jamahal Hill, if he landed the mark, I could see him flatlining Pereira. But all in all, I would say if they fought 100 times, I would have Alex Pereira winning the vast majority of times. I would say Alex Pereira is winning upwards to 80 of the 100 bouts. I just think that his striking is a lot more clean. Jamahal Hill hasn't really shown too much evolution in his overall game where he can go out there and exploit Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira, in fact, is now, he's actually a very high caliber BJJ player, so he's been working on his grappling quite a bit. So even if Jamahal Hill looks to make a run in that department, I mean, Alex Pereira is going to be keeping right up with him down on the mat, and Pereira may even dominate him down on the mat. Who knows? But when it comes to the striking, one thing we know for sure is that Pereira is cleaner. Jamahal Hill has that raw power. He's quick and he's athletic, but Pereira is a fine-tuned striking machine that is most likely going to get the better of that situation every time they square off there. So I'll just say this, and we could talk a little bit about what Hill was going on about. But, you know, Jamahal Hill, this is what he posted on the IG. Now, I haven't really spoke on this, but I went to Brazil and dog walked your guy in one of the most one-sided ass whoopings in championship history, and after showed nothing but respect and paid homage. I've never celebrated over an opponent I beat, and even called out my fans for disrespecting Johnny Walker after I slept him. But because I showed competitive fire and was excited to be back after an injury that could have ended my career, y'all think this was funny or cool? And he tagged Alex Pereira there. You really set up a punch you couldn't get without a weird, confusing moment and did some weak-ish, but it okay, because you will fight me again and my eyes won't leave you until you're stiff as Izzy left you in Miami. And, you know, here's the difference in the two. Well, and again, not exactly the situation. I mean, Jamahal Hill, this is after the fight, after a good amount of time in the fight, he goes over and pays some respect. This was immediately after Pereira finished Jamahal Hill up, which was one of the most exciting finishes I've ever seen. You guys know I was jumping out of my seat. In fact, I was sitting in this seat right here. We were going crazy, and that was a fun one. I'll say that much. And, you know, even though Hill posted that little video about me and whatnot, whatever, and I know it was all in good fun, I actually don't really have a problem with Jamahal Hill, and I kind of see what he's saying. If I'm being quite honest, I kind of see what he's saying here. And I think that he uses this to kind of fire himself up and to get him motivated for a potential rematch. The only issue that Jamahal Hill has is that he's about to get knocked out by Carlos Ulberg. And that fight will be taking place here at the end of the month on the 29th. So he'll be getting knocked out by Carlos Ulberg, and he'll be on a 2-fight losing streak after he gets knocked out in that fight. And that will not only will be on a 2-fight losing streak, but he will have been knocked out in 2 consecutive fights. So he's not really going to be in a situation to be setting himself up to be fighting with Alex Pereira. All signs are pointing towards the champ, Alex P, fighting Yuri Prochazka actually again. And I think that that's a very deserving rematch for Yuri Prochazka. Listen, I know you could say Prochazka got knocked out by Alex Pereira and Jamahal Hill got knocked out. The difference is, of course, is Prochazka just bounced back from that loss with one of the most spectacular performances I've ever seen, okay? I think that fight against Alexander Rakic was completely overlooked. I mean, some people gave it its respect, but it was on a huge card. All right, so remember that fight was a little bit earlier on the card, and it was overlooked to an extent. Dude, for Prochazka to come back from getting knocked out the way that he got knocked out, he was injured before that as well. This dude, you could tag him all you want. He continues to march forward. The way that his fighting style is it's so exciting, man. His hands are low. He marches forward. He's looking to eat a shot in the light heavyweight division. He's looking to eat a shot to give his own shot on the feet. I think that he's just one of the most exciting fighters in the game. He's top 5. He's top 5 for me right now. Top 5 most exciting fighters in the fight game in all of MMA. All right. So Yeah, you go out there and you do it to Alexander Rakic. I know Rakic hasn't been doing a lot of work as of recently, but he's still a very dangerous dude. Now, let Jamahal Hill have his bounce back victory. If Jamahal Hill goes out there and if he could knock out Carlos Ulberg, that'd be a huge victory. Huge victory for him. And you know what? He would be pretty much next in line to get, well, see, there's a problem here, though. There's a big problem, actually. I think a lot of you guys know what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about Magomed Ankalaev. Magomed Ankalaev is a problem for everybody in this division. So, yeah, there's a little bit more going on than just that. So let Jamahal get that knockout victory if he could. And even then, he may be one fight removed. He may be right now, currently, he may be 2 fights removed from a rematch with Pereira, or we got to see how some things shake out in the division, right? Depending on who beats who. If Prohaska defeats Pereira, we may see a trilogy match right off the rip there if it's an epic war. And then in that case, you could have in that case, you could have Jamahal Hill taking on a Magomed Ankalaev. Magomed Ankalaev is taking on Johnny Walker. So I'm already assuming that he's going to win that fight. And I want to completely overlook that. And that fight takes place in July. Magomed Ankalaev is going to smash Johnny Walker. What am I talking about here, guys? He already just beat Johnny Walker. I'm losing my mind over here, guys. Let me pull up Tapology. He just smashed Johnny Walker. What am I talking about? That fight already happened twice. Losing my mind here, guys. But I do not believe Magomed Ankalaev is scheduled to be fighting anybody. So in that case, Ankalaev will be perfectly set up to fight the winner of Carlos Ulberg and Jamahal Hill. Excuse me, guys. Let me settle in here, guys. Let me settle in. We're settling in on the live. And of course, yes, exactly. How did I forget he just knocked out Johnny Walker when I had an official play on that. I had it mixed up there in a two-team parlay. When the first time he was supposed to get a W there too, and you guys remember how that played out. Johnny Walker accidentally kind of saying he couldn't see or whatnot. He was a little dizzy from that illegal shot that Ankalaev hit him with there. So that's kind of what I see going on as far as the light heavyweight division goes. And I won't hold you guys up no longer. I know a lot of you guys are here to talk about some prop bets for UFC Louisville. And I'll just throw this out there real quick, guys. Remember, we are powered by BETUS. You guys check the link out in the description. You're going to get a sick match bonus on your first 3 deposits. No one's doing it like BETUS. I'm telling you guys, just go check that link out and sign up through it, and I will give you guys a gift. If you guys sign up through that link, let me know so I can give you guys a gift as well. And BETUS is where it's at. I'm telling you guys right now. So with that being said, you guys know how I like to do this. I like to start at the bottom of the card and work our way up towards the top. Now, Pooja Tamar and Ryan Amanda, this is now officially the first fight of the card, which is where this fight should have been from the very get-go. If you were to look at this card a while back, somehow this was towards the top, and it makes perfect sense that this was the fight that would be kicking the card off, the lowest level fight on this card. And this is not one that I specifically want to talk about, but since it is the first fight, let's just take a quick little peek and see what we're seeing here. You guys know these types of fights typically have a very high percentage of going over and going to decisions. You guys understand that? So let's just take a look at what we're seeing for that. The over 2.5 rounds is set at right around 170 to 190 right now. On BETUS, it is minus 170, which we've seen worse lines than that. Now, I think the only reason why you're seeing any type of lean towards this fight being finished is if Amanda is going to find a submission on Pooja Tamar. I think that's the main route that people would see in regards to this fight ending inside the distance. I think there's a possibility that Amanda can find that sub. Right now, she's a minus 300, which, if you ask me, is too high. Far too high, and I hope none of you guys are touching that fight, and I don't even want to talk about that fight anymore. So what are we doing? All right, let's scroll up the fight card and see what we're talking about here. The Taylor Lapilus versus Cody Stamann fight. I'm not going to really go in on that, but because you're going to notice that there's on all the lines, there's a very big lean towards the fight going to a decision and going over, and I kind of understand why that's the case. Taylor Lapilus is a fighter that has no submission victories. Cody Staman's been subbed a couple times. If he's getting finished up, he's never been knocked out. All right, so is Lapalus going to be the first dude to starch him and put him out? I'm not really expecting that. I think Lapalus does win a decision, but the lines are kind of high there, and I don't really see an overwhelming amount of value. But I do want to talk about this one here. Andrea Lee taking on Montana De La Rosa. This is a rematch, and I kind of like Andrea Lee to get the job done here. And this is something that you probably wanted to be on a little bit earlier in the week or last week, because you could have got her at a much better line. She was sitting right around minus 125, minus 130 over on BETUS. She's now at minus 160. We've seen a lot of action come in on her, and I understand why. Rewatch the first fight. The only reason why you could be changing up your decision on, or not you're changing up your decision, but the only reason why you would see a different verdict in this fight would be if you think that Andrea Lee is taking a step back, being the older fighter here, leaving her prime, going into her mid-30s at 35, and Montana De La Rosa cruising into her prime. But Montana hasn't been overly impressive in any of her recent fights, if you ask me. I've really never seen her game taking that next step up, where Andrea Lee, to me, even though she's 35, she's had some impressive performances still up in age. And her losses are very respectable. And like we talked about, we all really understand that she defeated Macy Barber, and that's a high-level victory. All right, and that fight took place just about a year ago. So, I mean, she was 34 at the time. Decision losses to Natalia Silva and Miranda Maverick, very high-caliber fighters there, in my opinion. And, I'll tell you what I kind of like for this fight. Over 2.5 rounds is very high, minus 410. You're not doing nothing with that. On BETUS there at minus 410. I mean, I'm not advising us to mess around with anything in regards to that. But one thing I kind of like here is Andrea Lee. I think you're going to just want to target her potentially. Well, you could, like I said, you could target the money line, or you're going to target Andrea Lee to win via decision. I don't know if you guys can see this. It's a little bit maybe over on the side, but the difference of taking her to win via decision or straight up is, especially now, you're going from minus 160 line all the way to a plus 130, and I think there's a very high likely scenario that she wins via decision. I think that's obviously the most likely situation. So, I mean, you could argue that that's worth making that step there. I like either play, though. Any of you guys attacking her on the money line, I like them a lot. And just checking out the comment section right now, too, boys. Let me say what's up to all you guys in the comment section. Again, you guys, I've been a little rusty with the live, so I'm trying to get a nice little setup here where I can get the comments going while I'm flickering around with the windows that I'm looking at, and I'm working on all this stuff. So what's up? Great Hatsby, Eric Musgrove, Lapalus by decision is a lock, boys. See, we talked a little bit about that, but we didn't really go into the line. But that's not a bad route either. If you're going to take Lapalus to have that money line drop down, or to have the betting line drop down instead of taking him on the money line, that's not really a bad aspect. Take him by decision, and you're going to get a better bargain there. Similarly to what we're talking about right now in the Andrea Lee situation. So, and just checking out a couple other comments here, man. So Olberg dangerous, and you guys commented on what we were talking about earlier with the Hill situation. So, so I do like Andrea Lee to win this fight via decision. So that may be a bet that you guys want to target there. Or again, if you just want to feel a little bit more comfortable about the fight, all in all, some of you guys get a little bit nervous with those specific method of victories, just take her on the money line. Here, we're definitely talking about this fight here. Charlie Radke taking on Carlos Prates. This is one of the most exciting fights on the card. I think that there's a great chance we see one of these guys finished up in the cage. Prates, a very rangy, dangerous striker. In his UFC debut against Trevin Giles, didn't look really that good up until the point that he got the finish. He was losing that fight, all right? Let's be very clear. He was losing that fight. He was being outlanded on. Trevin looked great in that fight up until he made one mistake. And, you could play devil's advocate there, though. We already know that Prates can go out there and outstrike you and completely outclass you. We've seen him do that on Dana White's Contender Series against Mitch Ramirez. Very tough fighter. But now he's showing even more so that not just on the regional scene, but he's showing now in the big leagues that he can end the fight in 1 second with the powerful strike, and that does carry some major weight, man. That you could dig yourself out of the hole like he did in that fight there. So let's go take a look at some of the available props for this fight, because I do think there are some interesting ones. And you guys know I'm going to be leaning towards unders. Under 1.5 right now on BETUS is set at plus 115. I wouldn't say that's a bad bet. Maybe get a little bit of plus value there. Under 2.5 rounds, you're going to see a little bit of higher lines, more towards minus 165 and whatnot. And it's a little high. I don't know. I think you might be better off just targeting the under 1.5 rounds there and getting that plus value. But let's take a look at some of these other ones here. Radke to win inside the distance at plus 390, possible value there. How about Radke by knockout? Charles Radke here, plus 550 on the TKO/KO. I think there's some value there. That's the main one that stands out to me for all you guys that like those crazy type of dog lines. I mean, did you guys forget what we just saw from Radke? I'm high on this dude, man. I'm high on this dude. The way that he came out there against Gilbert Urbina, who I actually do have a lot of respect for. Urbina is a talented fighter. Urbina and all his brothers, man. This is a dude that's surrounded by people, heavily devoted to the fight game. He's a well-rounded fighter, and Urbina is a fighter that's usually very game. He shows up and he looks to go to war and whatnot, and he can also outclass you with his skills. And that fight, man, Radke was so locked in. He was just running circles on Urbina before he eventually finished him in the first round. I mean, his boxing looks super sharp, big-time power. He hurt Urbina multiple times in that fight. So he showed when he lets his hands go, he could put you out. And the reason why I kind of like him by knockout here is because Carlos, he was just tagged up against Trevin. And I think that Carlos gets a little bit too comfortable looking for his own offense at times. And defensively, he is there to be hit. He's a guy that's really looking on to put a show. He's looking to knock dudes out, and he's looking to throw these tricky knees up the middle and whatnot. And I could see Radke coming over the top or coming around the side with the heavy hook and knocking him out. So if any of you guys are looking for a little Hail Mary prop type of bet, Radke to win by TKO/knockout at plus 550 is something that stands out to me. That's one of the main ones. That's a fun one, and it does stand out to me on the UFC Louisville card. So there you guys go right there. We're going to jump up one fight right here. Thiago Moises taking on Ludovic Klein. Another very exciting fight in this card. A very high caliber fight. I know neither of these fighters have ranks next to their name right now, but as I said in the full prediction video, we easily could be seeing one of these guys with a rank next to their name in the near future. Thiago Moises, a very talented fighter, just 29 years old, has a world of experience already. Striking has came around a long way. Jiu-jitsu is nasty. Ludovic Klein, as he continues to refine his overall craft, he'll be obviously a very dangerous fighter in this division. His striking is where it's at, though. This dude can lay you out. He's very physically strong. He's a freak athlete, jacked up, and he moves well. Times we've seen him struggle, though, with his grappling, okay? And I think that a lot of people are a little quick to forget about some of the performances that he's had, okay? And we'll talk about some of them here. Now, the AJ Cunningham knockout that he just had, you guys need to just lower the amount of stock that you put into that, because AJ Cunningham is not a UFC caliber fighter. All right, I'm being a little harsh on AJ right now, but I'm not really impressed with what I've seen from him, even dating to his performance on Dana White's Contender Series. And I'll give props to Klein for going out there and doing what he should have done, but that one was whatever. The Ignacio Baja Mendez is the fight that stands out to me. I mean, Baja Mendez is a really, he's a surging fighter in the game right now, but we've seen him make some mental mistakes at times that have cost him fights, and sometimes he's not really hitting on all P's and Q's, but I do give credit for Klein in that fight, and I do think that showed growth in his grappling. But you go back before the Mason Jones, the Jai Herbert, Devontae Smith fight, they had two very questionable performances against Michael Trezano and Nate Landwehr. Both of those fights, it was his grappling that cost him. The Trezano fight, he was basically grinded down in the mat by a fighter in Trezano who's, not in the UFC these days, to say the least. And I'll tell you what, Thiago Moises is on a whole nother level with his grappling than the lone wolf there. Okay, he's on a whole nother level. Thiago Moises is able to get this fight down to the mat, I think he could find a submission eventually, similarly to what Nate Landwehr did to Klein. But even on the feet, I've liked what I've seen from Thiago Moises. I think he can kind of hang around a little bit and look to change levels and have success there. But if he does struggle to find his takedowns, there's no question that Ludovit Klein may knock him out. Okay? So there's two strong avenues for us to see a finish in this fight. That is the Moises submission and the Klein knockout. Okay? So take a look at this right now. The under 2.5 is currently at plus 105, okay? Touched even odds there, and it dipped back up to plus 105. That's over at BETUS right now. You can get him at plus 105 on BETUS. I find that pretty interesting because the more I look at this fight, I understand why some people aren't really seeing this as a fight where we're going to see a finish, for sure, which of course we never know, but people aren't really siding. I see some people kind of siding on the other side of things, but I feel there'll be a finish in this fight more so than not. I do. I would rather be on, we see a finish or see an under 2.5 rounds than not, because I think that Moises may get in on a choke. I think it's a very likely situation. And if he doesn't, Klein may starch him as well. So that is something that I like. That's a prop bet that I'll throw your guys' way as well. And what's up, guys? As we're cruising through here. Now, I did have a kind of a long day, man. So I maybe moving forward, if you guys give me some feedback, I'll try to get on here a little bit earlier in the day when I have a little bit more energy. Had a long day, man, and I don't want to be falling asleep on the mic. So maybe we'll start doing these lives like at 7, or maybe I'll just be a little bit more rested up for you guys. But if you guys want to give me any feedback, if you guys like me here doing the live video for the props, or if you guys like the preloaded prop videos, which in that case, I still will be going live. And a lot of the stuff I'm going to want to do in these live videos will be, like I said, bringing fighters on, hanging out. I want to do some watch party type of things. I'm going to have a dope setup here on the screen, and we'll do some, I guess you call them a watch party, right? What do you call that? A fight companion, right? A fight companion. And maybe I'll bring you guys on too. We'll have some people hopping on. Maybe we'll have some UFC fighters hopping on. That'd be pretty dope, huh? Some UFC fighters hopping on while we're watching the fights, and we'll be enjoying cracking some cold ones or whatever we do. All right, so let's get back to business here. Gonna talk about the first fight kicking off the main card, Punahele Seriano and Miguel Baeza. This is a fight, before we even jump over to the prop odds, I think there's a very, very likely scenario that this fight does not go to a decision. This is not going to go the distance. Punahele Seriano will be very live to knock out Miguel Baeza, which Baeza has been getting knocked out left and right. We know he has some major question marks on his chin. He's coming off 2 brutal knockouts, and it's the way that he's getting knocked out. It's just his body's not really being able to withstand any type of damage. He had a good amount of time to rest his brain up, but Seriano throws absolute heat from his hips, and if he hits Baeza with anything half-ass, I think Baeza will be stumbling around and getting finished up. Now, here's the other aspect of how we may see an under 2. Punahele Seriano has horrible cardio. He's been finished in his last 2 fights. Okay, his last 2 losses in his last 2 fights, he was finished up by Dustin Stoltzfus and my boy Roman Kopylov, who came through on the official play, as we had another profitable event there for that big pay-per-view card that took place, if you guys remember, where Islam Makhachev reigned supreme once again. But listen, even in some of these fights that Seriano lost a decision, he completely gassed out in these fights. And if Baeza looks to press at all, if he's in good shape, and he usually does come in good shape, he can easily find a finish later in the fight as well. And he's a well-rounded fighter too. Maybe he pulls off a sub or something like that. So let's take a look at what we're looking at. But anything like, as far as the under goes, I think I kind of know already the line's going to be very high. Under 2.5 is set on BETUS right now. It's minus 240. It opened at minus 175. Now that wouldn't have been a bad target there. Minus 240. You're not touching that at all. You're not doing that. None of you guys think about doing that. If you want to take a look at some of these specific victories for maybe a fighter that you're on their side for, their side of, if you're on Seriano to win inside the distance is at plus 245, and in that case, let's just take a look at Seriano to get a knockout, which is at plus 275 right now. Okay, so you get a little bit more juice there. You may almost be worth just taking him inside the distance. I don't know though, because is he gonna pull off a sub? That's, depending on how safe you want to play it there. But you're gonna look to target Seriano inside the distance if you like him in this spot. I really think that's the case. If you like Punahele Seriano, take him to win this fight inside the distance. Do not take him on the money line. All right, that's how I feel about it. Get that extra juice, because I don't think he wins this fight if it goes to decision. I'd be really, really shocked. Not shocked. Obviously, it's the fight game. You never know. Maybe he hurts him and just the pace of the fight slows down a little bit. But Baez is a solid fighter. If his chin doesn't give out, he's pretty much the better fighter everywhere here except for his chin. So, all right. So a lot of you guys may have turned your back on him for some of those knockout performances, which I understand. But if it goes to a decision, don't think that Punahele Seriano is winning a decision over Miguel Baeza. All right. And then let's take a look at some finishes here for Baeza to win via knockout, plus 180. That is a significant jump when you're talking about going from a Baeza, a money line at right around minus 185. You're basically flipping that minus to a plus. But the thing is that he could potentially lock up a sub as well. Baeza to win inside the distance is set at pick'em odds right now, right around minus 110. I don't know, as far as the Baeza side of things, which I am leaning towards him to win the fight. It's not a very close fight. Anything can happen in this fight. There's a lot of moving parts. I think the biggest value play I see for all you value hunters out there would be Seriano to hit a knockout in the fight. If you guys are looking for those juicy odds, and I'll throw you guys a parlay at the end of this video as well, but guys, comment below. Do you guys want me throwing more of these juicy big boy type of odds, or do you guys want me kind of giving you guys maybe more realistic props to hit? And I would love to hear your guys' opinion and all that type of stuff there. So we're going to jump up to the co-main event. Dominic Reyes taking on Dustin Jacoby, another fighter that has some major question marks in regards to his chin, coming off 3 knockouts in a row. And you guys already know, I feel that it's going to be 4 knockouts in a row after this fight takes place. I am definitely thinking that Dustin Jacoby will get Dominic Reyes out of here. I know he's had a good amount of time to rest as well, a decent amount of time, but I still think that this is the light heavyweight division. Dustin Jacoby has a crazy amount of output. He has a great amount of output for the division. It only takes a little something. It's a little salt and pepper there on Dominic Reyes' chin, and he's going to be folded up. So I like Dustin Jacoby to win inside the distance, which you can catch that straight up. The ITD win inside the distance at plus 130, which you're basically flipping a minus 235 line at this point in time. But you could have got this line better just a couple of days ago if you guys were a little bit earlier on this, a minus 210. Now that was a solid play there, in my opinion. Grabbing him at minus 210 on a money line was a solid play. But you could flip a current minus 230 to go all the way to a plus 130. And then let's just check out Jacoby on the knockout. Jacoby to win via knockout. It's going, depending on the book, plus 110, plus 140. I mean, depending on what book you're shopping on right now, you're looking at you're better off taking inside the distance. But at the same time, let's also note that Dustin Jacoby has never had a submission in his career. But still, to go from a plus 130 to a plus 140, at that point, I'm kind of going to be a little bit stubborn. I'm going to put my foot down. I don't think I'm going to be taking a knockout over an inside the distance for 10 measly points there. But I do like Dustin Jacoby to win this fight. And like I said, I like him on the money line, like him via knockout or inside the distance, like we said, what I just said. Shop your lines there. But Dustin Jacoby should get his hand raised. And that's actually one of my favorite plays of the card. All right, guys? How about that? McGregor giving you guys some exclusive information here for the card. Shout out to everyone that's tuned in. And then we'll talk about the main event before we get out of here. Then we go curl up on the couch. And it's 9:36. Maybe we'll throw some baseball on or something like that. Jared Cannonier taking on Nasruddin Amavov. Jared Cannonier, man, this dude just refuses to age. What is he eating? He's 40 years old, shredded on a 2-fight winning streak, arguably a 2-fight winning streak. Some people didn't think he deserved to get that victory over Strickland, but he did. And those are 2 solid Ws. It's just that performance against Izzy was atrocious. He refused to show up, and he refused to try to put on any type of fight against Izzy. And I lost a lot of respect for him in that fight, if I'm being quite honest. And I was really surprised because Cannonier over the years has been an absolute dog, and something happened with him there, man. He was mentally not in that fight. He felt that Izzy was a superior fighter, and he didn't want to get caught with something. He didn't want to get countered, and it's hard to want to give him another title opportunity after how he performed in that fight. I'm telling you, it was bad. But he wins this fight. And let's just talk about that real quick. If he wins this fight, you guys know in the prediction video, I said I could see him facing off with Brendan Allen. If he gets a victory here, you got Brendan Allen right here. You know what? I'm gonna go. I kind of like the way that Tapology sets this up better. Let's just jump over to that real quick, because you could see every single fight that's lined up. So this will be cool here. Check this out, guys. He's currently ranked 5th on Tapology's worldwide odds in the middleweight division. He's taking on Amavov, of course, this upcoming Saturday. If he gets a W there, let's say he pulls off the upset against Amavov, the slight upset. Robert Whitaker and Chimaev are fighting June 22nd. That fight's coming up. The winner of that, their stock is going to be through the roof. That's going to be a huge fight for this division. I really think that the winner of that fight, you could argue that they're going to be next over Sean Strickland. I know Strickland just got a victory even after he probably should have retained the belt against Dracus. Sean Strickland will be perfectly set up to fight the winner of that match regardless, right? A rematch with Dracus, who a lot of people thought he should have won against. A rematch with Izzy, and one of the biggest upsets of all time. You know, Izzy wants that fight back, probably, right? I don't know. Maybe he doesn't. Didn't seem like he did for a little bit there, but and then so you got all that going on, and then you got Jared Cannonier. Let's say he defeats Amavov, and even let's say if Amavov wins as well, Amavov's not there, of course. He just lost to Sean Strickland 3 fights ago. So you got Brendan Allen over here, and Brendan Allen has been on a hell of a win streak. His last loss was when he got knocked out against Chris Curtis, but he was also knocked out by Sean Strickland a little bit before that too. But since then, he's on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fight win streak. Went to war with Curtis. That was a great fight. A little bit of lower level fighters scattered through this little streak though. Sam Alvey. The Malkoun was a big one. That was a fight that some people thought that he lost. So whatever. Put a little asterisk next to that too. Jocko. Shout out to Jocko. You know, if you guys remember, I posted a picture of me and him and IG bumped into him at a Duffy's, South Florida, and he was chilling. He had some girls with him and stuff, and then had his old girl back in Poland, I believe it was, or whatever it was. And funny dude. Hopefully it doesn't leak to his girls, but you know, I think that Brendan Allen should get the winner of this Cannonier versus Amavov fight. So I'll just preface before we jump into the betting odds and whatnot. That's what I think should happen with the winner of this fight. And let's go take a look at the main event prop bets, which I don't know, man. I'm kind of feeling that this fight goes to a decision. Kind of feeling that Amavov is going to do a little bit more damage or put a little bit more volume out there. So right now, if you were to take Amavov, I mean, this is essentially a pick'em right now. Amavov is a minus 125. All right, on the money line, this pick'em odds. Is it worth it targeting Amavov via decision to win inside the distance? If you're looking at him around a plus 200, let's say Amavov lands a nasty strike and finishes Cannonier up, which is not going to be easy to do. Plus 350 line in a 5-round fight. You got some time to do it, but Jared Cannonier, he's not an easy guy to finish. He's been knocked out twice. Let's go over those 2 knockout losses real quick to see what we're talking about here. Hasn't been knocked out for quite a while. He was knocked out by Dominic Reyes, speak of the devil, back in 2018, and then he was knocked out by Sean Jordan. Shout out to Sean Jordan. I remember bumping into him at a UFC Tampa event as I was parked up. I have a nice little cold beer in my hand. We were walking over to the stadium, and Sean Jordan was walking right by. Cool dude, fighter that fought Derek Lewis back in the day, a Strikeforce dude, came into the UFC, big old boy doing backflips and whatnot, and doesn't even have the respect of a pitcher up these days. Sean Jordan, I think that's even that little girl, that little Olympian girl. And this was Sean Jordan fighting guys like Matt Mitrione, Pat Berry, Czech Congo. You know, he may have never even fought Derek. Oh, yeah, he did. He fought Derek Lewis. He knocked Derek Lewis out 2016. That's right. Very well did fight Derek Lewis. But obviously I'm not too emphatic about anything I'm seeing here. But Jared Cannonier has been knocked out before. Plus 350. I don't like it. I'm not really going to lean you guys towards it. Even with the juicy line next to it, I think this fight goes to a decision. Amavov to win a decision. Plus 225. Going from minus 125. All right. Going from minus 125. Going all the way down to Amavov to win by decision at plus 225. I think you can argue that you're getting some better juice there. And if some of you guys like something a little bit more juicy, you go for something like that. All right, guys. But honestly, the more I think about it, that is probably the way you should go. If you like Amavov, I don't think Amavov is going to finish Cannonier up. Cannonier has had a history in some of these big fights of slowing the pace down and just being comfortable doing a little bit of a sparring match in there. And even when he's down, he doesn't really press like he needs to at times. And Amavov would love that kind of fight. He's a fighter that struggled with his cardio at times. He loves slow-paced kickboxing match for the most part. So I do like that, actually. I like Nasruddin Amavov to win a decision. I think that's the way you should go if you were going to bet on that fight there. So, all right, guys. That is going to wrap up the prop bet for UFC Louisville. Remember, guys, we are powered by BETUS. Take a look at the link in the description of this video. If you guys are looking to sign up, please do sign up through that link, and I will give you guys a gift. Let me know if you guys do that so I can send you over a gift. Shoot me an email. I got my email scrolling below, or DM me on Instagram or Twitter. Make sure you guys are following me over on IG and Twitter. I'm on Instagram at MMAFortuneTeller_. I'm on Twitter at the MMA Teller. My eyelids are getting heavy here, boys. I want to go through a couple of your guys' comments, though. Which eventually I'll be able to post the comments here on the bottom. I'm going to set it up dope. I'm going to have the comments posted right in the banner and whatnot. So let me see what you guys are talking about. Hopefully you guys are still hanging around over here. But thoughts on my parlay: Baeza, Puna over 1.5, Jacoby by decision, Ferreira by KO, Rosas Jr. by first round KO. So obviously I'm not really too crazy about it, because I'm not really crazy about the Puna Baeza over 1.5 rounds. Not really crazy about that, although maybe you're getting a decent line on it. But you know, maybe you could argue that you're getting decent value based on the fact that people are feeling that's the way it's going to go. But no, I think that there's a very good chance that is how it's going to play out. So I'm not crazy about that. The boy Austin Carroll said, we'll be 2 rows off the floor for the show. Excited to have some action on it and be there live. That's dope, man. Shout out to Austin. Enjoy the fights, man. Maybe if you could send some video over on IG. Always love to see some dope video from inside the arena. The more Teller videos, the better. Channel is fire. Thank you, bro. Thank you, Andrew Martinez. Like I was saying earlier, guys, just note that I'm just warming up here with the lives, man. Really, you guys are just watching me get my feet wet. There's a lot of big things I want to do with the channel, and really, I'm just kind of sharpening things up here. And you guys are going to see a way more fine-tuned product moving forward. Like I said, with UFC fighters chilling on the videos with me, I want to have a lot more exciting stuff set up, and I could string it off to you guys as we scroll through these videos. But of course, we'll always have the betting aspect in these videos, because I know a lot of you guys, obviously, you know what my channel is about. It's betting on MMA, but I want to give you guys just MMA content and a more broad spectrum as well. I want to give you guys different type of stuff as well. You know what I mean? If there's big news that happened in the MMA world, I want to give you my thoughts on it too. I want to speak on what these fighters are talking about, like the Jamahal Hill situation earlier. I want to talk about these things, but I want to do it in a very exciting manner and have things set up better moving forward. So you guys are just rolling through the motions here with me, and I appreciate you guys a lot. So if you can, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already. What's up, Sazone? Cannonier going to take him down. So when you say take him down, I'm assuming you're saying he's going to take him down, like wrestling takedown. Not sure if you're saying it like a 10-year-old kid watching WCW, like he's going to take you down. You're going down. But yeah, I'm sure you mean wrestling. So you think Cannonier is going to take him down? I could see Cannonier changing levels a bit, trying to mix things up. Wouldn't be shocked there. Let's go over some of the numbers on that, though. Amavov with the 76% takedown defensive rate in the octagon. He's been pretty good there. Cannonier with the 42% accuracy offensively. Of course, those numbers don't say everything. Depends who you're shooting on. The numbers could be skewed or whatever, but the numbers would favor Amavov. And Amavov is a fighter that has great footwork. He's not easy to get in on to lock in a solid attempt there. He's not going to get on his hips. It's hard to get in on his hips. And another thing you have to take into consideration is that Amavov is very young, and he's a fighter that you're going to see significant growth from. So, and where you're going to see that growth is in his grappling. I want to be clear there. This dude's a stud athlete. Obviously, as good as his striking has become, he's a dude that understands how to learn mixed martial arts, right? Learn aspects of martial arts at a very high level, right? His striking, dude, he's so technical on the feet. And sometimes that same mindset that was that enabled him to learn all that offensively with the striking, defensively and all that, he can mix that into grappling. And I wouldn't be surprised if by the time Amavov is 31, 32 in the prime of his career, that his grappling really starts to take a step up. So I don't know. We'll see about that. I don't know if Cannonier has an overwhelming amount of success grappling. If he gasses out, maybe he can get in him, take him down. But I think Amavov's been looking pretty decent overall with his game evolving and whatnot. Let's see here. What's up, MMA Jesus? Stamen plus 200. And I'm assuming, of course, you're talking about on the money line, correct? Let me pull that up real quick. And I would actually like to talk a little bit more about that fight if Jesus is in the building. Let's scroll down here. Excuse me, guys. We got all these different props open up. We got to close those up as we move forward. But here we go. Yeah, you definitely were talking about the money line, which you could actually really get even higher than that at this point. I'm sure you already had it locked in a little bit earlier. You could have waited. Stamen's as high as a plus 215 right now, even higher on some of these other books. He's a plus 215 though on BETUS. And listen, I'll be honest. I mean, I could see where you're going with that. You may be seeing, you're getting a little bit of a bargain deal plus 215, but that fight screams Lapalus decision to me. It really, really screams Lapalus decision to me. Now, I don't want to completely overlook Stamen. Stamen has good wrestling, and he's going to have success with his wrestling. I think we all know that. He's going to have to change levels. We've seen Lapalus struggle a little bit at times, but you also need to understand that, like in the fight that he just had against Farid Basharat is a high-level grappler. Stamen has good wrestling, though, too. If Stamen gets a takedown, though, is he going to be able to hold Lapalus down for a significant amount of time? And if Lapalus gets back up, he's going to be landing damage. The thing that I also don't like is the fact that Lapalus has a huge reach advantage here to go along with being a better athlete, moving a little bit better out there. He's a better striker. And I just see Lapalus touching Stamen up. And if Stamen can't hold him down for a significant amount of time in all of these rounds, every time Lapalus bounces up, I just feel like he's going to snatch those rounds up with the damage, especially just the way that the game is being judged these days. So shout out to my boy MMA Jesus though. Cody Moneyline, and Cody he is a dog. And Jesus also has Jared via KO, which honestly I think I like the Jared KO. That's probably the best bargain line you're going to get on Cannonier. I don't see why Taylor is so high, too high at a minus 270. And that's really where. That's where I wouldn't argue with you, where I could almost kind of see what you're saying. You're kind of just targeting it as a value play, where it's like the line maybe shouldn't be that high. And I could see where you're going with that, because with Lapalus being a minus 270, even though I do feel very clearly that's how that fight's going to play out, we'll see. But Lapalus is a fighter that does have a little bit more to prove, right? He was able to win a decision over Loughran in that comeback to the UFC. He was fighting over in Aries for a while after the UFC let him go, and I mean, not the highest level of competition. Did have a victory over Nate Maness, a former UFC fighter who wasn't able to hang around. Finished him up. Wilson Hayes, a very old Wilson Hayes, an undersized Wilson Hayes, a fighter that used to fight in the flyweight division over in Bellator. High level BJJ player, but Wilson Hayes, he's very old. So yeah, I mean, you can say that Lapalus is being a little bit overvalued if you look into some of his wins. This was a dude that was losing to guys like Eric Perez back in the day in the UFC and had a victory over Oka Sasaki, that Japanese fighter. Remember that very rangy, that rangy Japanese fighter didn't hang around. Rocky Lee is even a fighter that, even a fighter like me, a diehard fan, that's a fighter that kind of almost goes under the radar. And I vaguely remember Rocky Lee. Rocky loves Ali. But so needless to say, another lower level victory. But I just want to be clear. I broke down a lot of tape on that fight, and I was actually very close to locking in a moneyline play on Taylor Lapalus, but I stayed away from that fight. But I do feel Lapalus wins a decision in that fight. Stamen's never been knocked out before. Lapalus isn't subbing him. So let's just, I didn't talk about that fight, did I? Maybe I kind of vaguely did, but just real quick, I just want to reiterate. The route I would go, if I'm being honest there, would be Lapalus to win via decision, which is still, I don't like the value I see on that. So at minus 150, that's not something that I'd be targeting. I'm not betting that fight, but I'll be actually polling for Stamen to win that fight. And I'll be rooting for Cody Stamen, and I'm a little caught off guard. See, it's funny here. James Lynch is wrongly accusing you of being racist. I don't know. You guys are wild, man, here in the chats, man. But see, that's one thing that I kind of forgot about doing these lives. I don't know if Ben's trolling me or whatnot, but I appreciate the $1.99 there. But that's something I kind of forgot about, is that there's a lot of trolls out there. And when I was doing a live, some dude wrote that. I guess it was you, Ben, and but I talked to James Lynch, and James Lynch said that no, that's a troll there, and not really to give that too much thought. And I kind of forgot, man, because I used to be one of those trolls, bro. I used to be in the chats when I was a young kid. I used to always love to mess around like that. So I kind of know. I don't want to get too old on you guys. I can't forget the mindset, but obviously that's something that couldn't be further from the truth. So I don't know why I don't really understand the avenue they're going down with that, but I appreciate you, Ben. See, he's definitely messing with me. Bro, have you seen this guy, James Lynch, accusing you of saying... See, but and it's funny because I just talked to James Lynch, and I don't know why I did it, but I did shoot James Lynch a message via Twitter, and I talked to him extensively. And obviously he was saying that not to pay that any mind, that's complete blasphemy. But I do appreciate the $1.99. I'm going to run over... What am I going to do with that $1.99, man? I can't even grab a brewski. Hey, Ben, I told you, if you could send me the link to it or send me a clip of it on Instagram. If you could send it to me on Instagram, that'd be the best. Or on Twitter, which is the right below, right there. You guys see them both. So shoot me a message and send that to me. And maybe that dude is a complete liar. Maybe you're telling the truth, but it really doesn't add up. And obviously I believe the dude when he says it's a complete joke and it's nonsense because of the fact that it would make no sense that he would do that. And obviously this dude's an established dude, and why would he just make something up out of nowhere? It really doesn't make a lot of sense. So, but Ben, shoot that video over to me. I'd love to see it. All right, guys. And I know I got to start getting used to that if I'm going to be doing these live videos, because the trolls are going to be coming in and we'll have some fun. Listen, you guys always hear me talking about it in my post-video speeches, my post-fight speeches after I do my prediction video. That's like my post-fight speech. I get on the mic, and you guys know I always say that I could take it when it comes to busting balls. I could take it with the best of them. So you guys, if anyone wants to come in here with the nonsense, I love it. I'm not one of those stiff dudes, those lame dudes that get all bent out of shape, start blocking. Like, you guys want to come in here, if you keep it reasonable, we could do that all day. I enjoy it, especially if you throw that $1.99 in there. I'm gonna take that. And what would I do with that $1.99? I'm trying to think what I could buy for $1.99. Can't get a cup of coffee. I'm sipping on a coffee late night right now. Bro, I don't have IG. Not capping. He's a good dude. He's beefing with you for no reason. Oh God, dude, you're killing me, bro. You can get that bazooka bubble gum. Yeah, that's what I can go. I'll get a stick of bubble gum. Listen, if anybody is listening to this right now, if you guys can, you guys that are listening to these lives, especially you guys right now, because obviously that really, you guys, your opinions mean more than anything, really, when it's said and done. So anything that you guys want to see incorporated in these videos, these lives, and I mean, tell me anything that you guys want to see. I want you guys, if you can, email me or shoot me a message on IG and Twitter. And like I said, this is like the rough copy, the rough draft. So I appreciate you guys hanging out in these rough drafts, but I'm going to start fine tuning things. And I want to know what you guys think I could do better in these videos. And just got here. Teller, you had a 10-2 last week. Great week. Your thoughts on Radke via sub. Shout out to my boy Keith. You know what? Before we get out of here, we're going to actually, I'll circle back to that fight. We did talk about it a little earlier, but I will bring it up once again. And I'll tell you my thoughts on that fight, because that's a very exciting fight. And if since you said you just hopping in, what I said earlier, sorry for everyone that's listening that already heard me, but I do like Radke to win this fight via knockout. I think that's a likely scenario. I know it's an unlikely scenario in a fight, right? It's hard to always just bank on dudes knocking dudes out, but when you're talking about grabbing Radke inside the distance at plus 390 or taking Radke to win by knockout, I think it's even worth jumping up. I don't know, man, plus 550, that's a solid line. Maybe you play it a little bit safer, just take inside the distance, because it's not completely out of the realm that he can get a sub. And that's something that we talked about on the full prediction video, because Pratis is a fighter that has been subbed before. And, you know, in fact, he's been subbed, 3 times out of his 6 losses. Half of his losses have come by way of sub. And he was subbed by some lower level fighters, but it was earlier on in his career, and he's shown some growth there. But has he really shown growth? Maybe he's just, I would say he's shown growth, but has he been really tested there? That's what you could say. Listen, Mitch Ramirez is not a slouch. That dude has some serious wrestling, and he wasn't able to just rip Pratis down to the mat and exploit him down there. You know, Pratis throws some nasty knees up the middle, so Radke has to be on his P's and Q's if he's looking to jump in on those legs. He might eat a nasty knee, and you may see one of the most devastating knockouts that you've ever seen before, because Pratis really throws those knees up the middle with disregard, man. He doesn't give a damn. He's swinging those knees up the middle. So, I don't know. I like Radke via knockout. I think that's a crazy value play there for you guys that like those types of bets. But just to get back to your question, your thoughts on Radke via sub. I'm sorry. Let me kind of go into exactly what you're talking about here. Radke to win via sub is going to be at plus 700. So you talk about even a juicier line. I just think that the sub is a little bit less likely. Not a little bit. I think it is. It's less likely to happen than that knockout, man. I don't know. This fight screams knockout to me, because I think these guys are going to clash. I think these guys are going to both welcome a kickboxing match. I could see Radke pushing him up against the cage a little bit, and maybe, you know, you're right. He may try to change levels and lower down against the cage and try to get in on some hips and try to get him down to the mat. We saw him do that to Blood Diamond in his UFC debut quite a bit. He was really pushing with the grappling. But remember, he didn't have a lot of success getting that fight down to the mat against Blood Diamond. And I'd venture to say that Pratis should be better with his takedown defense than Blood Diamond. I don't know. Blood Diamond was a weird fighter, though, right? Got cut from the UFC. Kickboxer that actually, I think his takedown defense was better than it should have been for a fighter with his amount of experience there. If you remember, one of the Kosi brothers was trying so hard to get him down to the mat, struggled a lot there too. I think that Radke's boxing looks sharp and crisp, and I think Pratis gets a little overzealous offensively at times and is there to be hit, and he may knock out Radke as well. I think someone gets knocked out in the fight. There's your answer. So that's kind of what I'm seeing in that fight. You know, let me go see what else you guys are talking about before we get out of here. And let's see here. Please spend $250 on your intro and graphics, bro. All right, Ben, I got you. Yeah, you know, like I said, if anyone's listening to this, I said this in a couple of my videos, I'm looking for somebody to help me out with an intro video, a video editor. If anyone's out there, I'm willing to cuff up some money. I need to start reaching out and find someone that does that, because I agree with you there. I want to sharpen some things up. Now, as far as the graphics go, Ben, maybe you're being a little harsh on me there, because I don't know, man. You ever see my my YouTube banner, man? The teller's posted up with the Vegas Strip behind me, the fountain shooting up water. You see the water going over my shoulders there. Oh, it's behind me right now. Look at this. What we got? We got Caesar's Palace in the back. I mean, let me take a look out the window real quick. It's beautiful outside, so I don't know what you're talking about as far as the graphics go. Double finish. Keith Ballard. Maybe that's not a bad idea, Keith. The double finish there. Why people high on Radke? Nothing special. Dude lost to Austin Hubert on the regional scene. And let's go take a look at that fight you're talking about there. And Hubbard, listen, Hubbard is a UFC caliber fighter, a fringe UFC caliber fighter. I'd say he deserved to be there, but he lost to Austin Hubert, man, back in 2008. Hubbard back in 2018. That was 6 years ago. I don't know, man. I'd reckon from what I've seen from him in the cage, I wouldn't be surprised if Radke would handle work in that rematch. The Chris Gonzalez lost. Chris Gonzalez, an underrated fighter. Justin Montalvo, that one wasn't a good look for him there. But I guess people are just high on him because the real reason why people are high on him, such as myself, is the fact that, you know, it looked good against Raheem Forrest. Raheem Forrest, I know that's a guy that dropped the ball. Not really a big name, but a guy that dropped the ball in Dana White's Contender Series in the main event slot there. But a dude that's a decent athlete and was able to pull a sub off him. Came into the UFC, the Blood Diamond victory. I get it, not a big one. Listen, let's cut to the chase. The reason why we're all high on him is because he looked very, very sharp against Urbino, man. He looked very sharp, and not only that, physically, this is a dude that he's looking like he's hitting on all cylinders, man. He's grinding over there at MMA Masters. This dude's chiseled up, man. He's getting it in with Terrell Owens. He's been doing some work with Terrell Owens, doing some athletic training. I mean, this dude, his boxing looks sharp, and I don't know, man. You know, another thing that we like about him is his confidence. All right. There's something to say about fighters that have that confidence in the cage, because this isn't a guy that's going to get shook. You know, when he has this long, rangy sniper Brazilian striker and Prates, you know that Radke is a fighter that's game, bro. This guy is cut from a different cloth. I like his personality, and I think that he's gonna look to land his damage, and I think that he'll also weather the storm coming in, and he'll look to clinch, and we'll see if he can get some takedowns. He's a game dude, and he's hitting the prime of his career right now. Well, physically he's hitting his prime, but you know, with only 12 pro fights, give him a couple more fights and let him settle in the UFC. He'll be the best version of himself. But physically, this guy is a wrecking machine. And it's also not that we're just praising Radke. It's the fact that we just saw Carlos Prates. Why are you so high on Prates? I know he had that phenomenal knockout, but what about the entire 9 minutes before that knockout? 9 minutes of work in the cage that you're watching him and you're kind of scratching your head saying, damn, why was he such a big favorite? This dude Giles the veteran, is styling on him, outlanding him at will. You know, you had a lot of us scratching our head there. And then, you know, he had that victory over Mitch Ramirez, but we need to see more from Mitch. Mitch is a tough dude. But besides that, are you that familiar with a lot of these names on the regional scene that he's been getting victories over? Because I'm not. I've looked into them. There wasn't a lot of fighters that really stood out to me, and let alone, you know, maybe you're tripping because you see when it says Charles Oliveira here, that's not Du Bronx Charles Oliveira, okay? This is Ghostface Charles Oliveira, who's 8-5 as a pro. All right, it's a different Charles Oliveira there. And what about these losses that he has in his resume too? You know, you want to talk about the Austin Hubbard loss that Radke has, or he had back in the day. Well, when he was losing to Austin Hubbard, a guy that made it to the UFC, Prates was losing to all these dudes that never even came close to making it to the UFC. Ari Santos. What are you? I can't even click. I'm trying to click on him. It doesn't work. All right, the link doesn't work. You want to take a look at Clauderi Freitas? I'm sorry about that. It don't work. We're not going to be able to pull that up. You want to take a look at Diogo? He can't even spell his name right. He's trying to say Diogo Cavalcante. I can't pull that up. That's a submission loss right there. All right. Rafael Nunez, I'm not going to be able to pull that up for you. We don't even know how he lost that fight. All right. We don't even have that information for you. Okay. I understand where we're at there. So sorry to rant there, but maybe it's not that we're extremely high in Rocky, but we understand that this is a fight that you got a lot of question marks in regards to both fighters, and we could easily see either fighter get their hand raised there. And I think that that's what I think some people are just on the value line there of us just really not knowing what to expect from both these fighters in this spot here, or knowing that this fight can really play out in a couple different ways. And anything could happen there. Or in those scenarios, they could happen. Any of those scenarios that we think could possibly happen, they could happen, and it could blow up your play. All right, so if he tries to cage push Pratis, he's going to eat a lot of knees in the clinch. I agree with you there. I think he's got to do more than that. He's got to land big. He's got to land boxing. He's got to do damage for sure. Grapes are fine, Teller. Dudes be messin'. My bad, bro. I don't know. I'm a little tired. I don't know what you're saying there. Material matte design. I work in user experience. Design it matches your steady energy vibe. All right. Got me there too. Dustin Slovis by submission. Easy. And we're going to end it with that. So I appreciate you. But so you like Stolzfus by sub. So we got a Stolzfus. Yeah, I mean, if that fight goes past the first round, if he doesn't get his head decapitated in the first round or in the first 2 minutes, yes, Stolzfus can definitely expose Bruno in the later rounds and pull off a sub there. And Dustin, he's been looking pretty good as of recently, looking better. He's looking to be in good shape. His striking's coming around. He's tough, but a little stiff. And I think Bruno will take his head off in the first round. But if he doesn't, I do like that play there. And you probably can get some good value. I know you can get some good value if you like that. If it cashes, that'd be a nice little play for you. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Like I said, I will be a little bit more alert on the next one, and I will sharpen this thing up for you guys, but I appreciate you guys a lot. And on that note, signing out. Teller.